Hey everybody, welcome to Winning Begins at Home on a Friday. Pumped up. We're talking fitness all week in the midst of our what we've called a personal operating system. It's just a way to help focus our lives, help us think about things. We've talked all kind of stuff, how to set up rhythms in the morning, how to win at the end of the day. The last couple of weeks, this week we've been talking fitness all week, and today I want us to think a little bit about that personal operating system mindset when it comes to our fitness. Do you have a fitness operating system? I think that's a good way to maybe approach this. And when I say a fitness operating system, I'm just asking the question, how can we create a sustainable approach to fitness and health that works in our real lives, and not just our ideal life? I mean, I think sometimes we're like, oh, I'm going to get dedicated to this. No, I want to create a way to maintain what we've talked about this week. And I think there's some things that we can shift in our minds. And I think there are some things that we need to maybe do differently. There's some habits we need to build in. Let's talk about some of that today. There's a guy named Robert Collier once said, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. And that's what I've noticed in my life, is where I've had these areas of success. It's been because I've stacked habit after habit after habit over decades for me. You know, I'm an old guy at this point. And in the places where I have struggled, it's been because I didn't have the right habits built into my life. I didn't have the right rhythms, or I had those and I didn't do what I was supposed to do for an extended period of time. One of the things that I think is so powerful is when we have habits, if we don't, it's great to have a streak, and I hope you can go 5,000 days in a row. Congratulations. Fantastic. But the power is when you go 7 days and then you miss a day, you don't miss 2 days, you don't miss 3 days, you don't miss 7 weeks. And then you're going, oh, I need to get back to that. I think it's so important for us to do the right thing as much as we can, right? We want to, and we're not going to be perfect. We said this a couple of days ago. We want to make sure we're continuing to make progress, but research shows that people who view healthy habits as a part of their identity. I am someone who exercises. When you begin to say that and behave like it's true, it's amazing what happens, rather than just our behaviors, right? Our behaviors are, I should exercise. I need to do that. I'm supposed to go to the gym. The people who have that identity, I am this versus I should do that, they're 3 times more likely to maintain their habits long-term, which is pretty powerful. When you can triple the likelihood of you having the life that you want, why would you not do that? It's going to come down to having a system, and your key is not motivation. I'm telling you, you're not going to stay motivated. It's creating systems that work even when your motivation is low. It's amazing when I've got some little things that I try to focus on. I used the step counter. I mentioned that the other day. I've got a way to track my steps, and it's amazing when I know that I've set myself a goal. I'm going to do this many steps in a day, and I don't pay attention to it most of the day, but I'll say a couple things here. It's important for me to look at it a couple times during the day, and here's what I've noticed: my success or the achieving of the goal goes up drastically if I will get most of those steps in before the middle of the day. I'll just use that as a round. But if not, I'll find myself at the end of the day going, I need to go and now I've shifted my identity from I'm a person who walks this many steps to I need to get right behavior, like we're talking about a minute ago. So and then the motivation is always low, and the willpower. And so if I'm not locked in at that point, it's going to be a failure that day. And so I think the identity shift is the thing. And so for you, I want to challenge you to begin to think, I am this. I am fit. I am going to be fit. This is the kind of person I want to be. And I'm going to have to do some things to be able to say that about myself. And you get to decide how fit you want to be. Some people are running marathons. That's great. I'm happy for them. I actually used to do that. Fantastic. And there are some people who are just, as we said earlier, they just want to be able to get down on the floor with their kids or run around in the yard. Great. Pick what your goal is. But I think we've got to have some habits in our life if we're going to feel the way we want to, not just exercise habits, but remember Wednesday, we talked about food habits. We want to make sure we get the sugars out of our life pretty much. We're trying to And the reason we're doing that is not because we don't like dessert. We probably all like dessert. It's because we're going to be people who are saying, I'm not going to be a slave to inflammation, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to forfeit, to diabetes. I think there's so many things that we can control here if we'll just start with our mind, the way we think about it, and then our body's going to follow what our mind believes it really is. And so I like this identity shift from trying to get fit to being a fit person. I'm a fit person. No matter if you're overweight, if you're out of shape, whatever, you just begin to say, I'm a fit person, and you begin to take steps toward that kind of person that you want to be. It's amazing what can happen. I've seen so many success stories. I've got 5 or 6 people I know who have literally lost 100 pounds when they decided in their mind, and they began to put systems in place, a place to go to the gym, a trainer they needed to work with. They kept showing up day after day after day. You don't lose 100 pounds in a day. You lose 100 pounds in your mind, and then it's day after day after day, and it's going to take a while if that's what you're trying to do. But you can have the life you want if you'll just take steps toward it, which is pretty powerful. I think we got to have some flexible systems here to adapt to life's chaos. And I'll give you one example that may or may not work for you, but let's say you're trying to get more protein in your life. Well, you can only probably eat so much protein. There's recommended, how much you need to eat based on your body weight and all that kind of stuff. But you're not always going to be able to, grill some chicken or whatever on the spot. Let's say you're running out the door, but you still need to get that protein intake. There might be some times where you need to have a healthy a protein shake that you can take with you. And maybe, there's times you may even say, I'm going to have a process that's going to be processed. Like it's going to be in a carton or whatever, or a bottle. And that's not ideal, but there are times where you're going to need some flexibility. So again, you'll need to research what you need to do and think through what you're trying to do with the way you eat and the way you take care of yourself. But I like having some flexible system that will adapt to the chaos of life, because what happens if I don't have those things built in, they're ready-made, ready to go. I can justify, well, I've got to run to do this. I've got to go do that. And the next thing you know, I'm forfeiting the things that I'm supposed to be doing because I don't have the systems built in place. So give that some thought. And then I think there's a minimum routine I want to have for life's busyness. And for me, the fail safe here are the steps. If I'm getting the steps in I want every day, even if I don't get to work out, even if I don't do any strength stuff or any flexibility stuff, at least I'm probably not going backwards if I'm making sure that I'm moving. I think where I get in trouble is if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just watching TV, or I'm vegging out, whatever that is. Unfortunately, I'm not eating vegetables usually when I'm doing that. That's where we get in trouble. And so these things, the habits can go the negative way as well. And if you've got these bad patterns going on in your life right now, I just encourage you to change your patterns, change your system. I heard a Navy SEAL say one time, when we get in a battle, and you're going to be in a battle for food, right? You're going to be in a battle for, your nutrition. You're going to be in a battle for your exercise. When you get in a battle, he said, you don't rise to the occasion. You sink to the level of your training. In the business world, we say you sink to the level of your systems. And so your habits and your systems, I say this all the time here, they're perfectly designed to give you your current results. If you want something different, you're going to need to make some changes. You're going to need to put some systems and habits in place to help you here, an operating system when it comes to your fitness. And I would encourage you to celebrate some of those small wins. Don't celebrate it with a piece of cake, but you should feel really great about yourself as you begin to make progress. Share that with somebody. You might even have a partner that you're really trying to get fit together. I think that's powerful when we have somebody we know we got to show up. We got people in our neighborhood. I see them all the time. They're meeting up, they're walking together. And I think there's just some kind of power when we have a partner, we have somebody that they're there, they're holding us. It's accountability is what it is, right? And then last thing I would say here as we end the week is just let's make sure that we connect our physical health to our bigger life vision. At the end of the day, the goal is not to be fit. The goal is to have the life that you want to have. And I'm guessing nobody has written out the vision that says, I want to be unfit. I mean, that's not part of our life vision. And yet we don't really pay attention to the way we take care of ourselves, the way we eat, the way we manage our energy, as we talked about yesterday. And then we end up struggling. It sucks the joy out of us. We feel guilty. We, shame, whatever. We don't need to feel that. We need to make sure that we have a vision, and fitness is probably going to be a part of it. If you're going to, achieve the life that you want, you're probably going to need to pay attention to. So I would say today, our action step as we end the week, write down what's your non-negotiable here. What is the one thing that you're going to do for your physical health, even on your worst day? That's the way I like to think about it. If it's raining, it's flooding, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do this. And if you can write that down, and for you on that day, or let's just make something up here. If you can't get outside, it's just not possible. And you've got to, maybe you got stairs in your house. I'm going to go up and down the stairs 25 times on the day that I can't get outside and do my steps. Or I'm when it comes to my my nutrition, we haven't talked about hydration this week. One of the things that is true for most Americans, really people around the world, but for Americans especially, is we are chronically dehydrated. And so you may say, no matter what, I'm going to drink this many ounces of water every day. And by the way, that number should be about 1 ounce for every 2 pounds you weigh. So if you weigh you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water. If you weigh 150 pounds, you should drink 75 ounces of water. That's going to be your minimum. That's your non-negotiable. What is the one thing you're going to do for your physical health, even on your worst day? Might be a 5-minute walk, might be 10 push-ups, might be drinking an extra glass of water. That's going to become your baseline that you can always build from if you'll protect that. All right, as we leave the week, your fitness journey is not about really becoming a different person. It's about becoming the healthiest version of who you already are. There is greatness in you. I say this all the time. And I want you to have a fit life, because it's so important that you're able to be who you need to be at work. So, obviously, but when you get home, you want to make sure that you have your best. They get the best of us. They don't get, the rest of us at that point, the leftover. Start where you are. You really can. You can make progress here if you'll it's one step at a time. It's one choice at a time. And it's actually putting habits in place that are going to help us have the life that we want. And when it's all said and done, how amazing would it be if every single person listening here could have all the energy they need until their last day? I think that would be cool. All right. Love you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's maybe get out and move this weekend. It'll be a good opportunity to take some of the stuff we've talked about and apply it this week. Have a great week. Love you guys. We'll see you next week for more Winning Begins at Home.